learning D&D 5e for the first time during a level 5 campaign. Hello all, here's another D&D story from my past, and this time with a different DM and group. During the time of my former friend Will made a post about him and his DMing, I was given the invite to join my other friend's D&D group. My friend, who I will refer to as Monk, was another player from Will's Pathfinder game, and a player in this one I was invited to. I never played D&D 5e at the time, but I was told it was easy to learn. While yes, 5e was indeed easy to pick up, I was never properly taught it because when I joined the session immediately started, even though I didn't know the basics of 5e. Now, before I continue, let me list everyone present in this story. Me. Rolled up a human tempest domain cleric named Johann Strauss, researcher of religion. Monk, friend who invited me to the session held at his place. Wizard, another friend who didn't really care for D&D, just wanted to hang out with everyone. Fighter, another friend, same as Wizard, just wanted to hang out. Bard, another friend, simped for Monk's ex. Barbarian, not so much relevant, was a friend of Will's little bro, pretty chill. Rogue, Monk's ex-girlfriend, overall brat. DM, last friend, ran the session. I want to state some things here for my first session. 1. I didn't have a player's handbook, was told there'd be an extra. Rarely got to use it, barely finished writing up my character. 2. I was taught a few things, and that's it. Nobody told me how to cast spells, make skill checks, or other anything. 3. I came in at level 5, so already I was overwhelmed with having to make my character while the campaign started. This annoyed everyone. So while I was still making my character, DM started the session. When I finally finished my character, after having to wait for the spare book to be handed back to me despite everyone else having their own player handbook, we were in a sewer having to find something in particular. After crossing a sewer river, we were attacked by a giant crocodile. After a turn of combat, another giant crocodile appears literally behind me from the sewer river and instantly grabs me in his jaws. Having been used to Will's DMing, I thought I was going to be insta-killed, but instead I was left at like 5 HP after one bite with the second missing. I was told I could use my reaction for my channel divinity, which I still didn't understand fully. After I reread it and said, "Give me a sec," Monk got pissy at me and said, "No, not a second, now," which made me upset considering both Wizard and Fighter take longer than me. Don't even know what dice to use for anything, and everyone doesn't even care. DM even had the gall as he smiled. "Yeah, you've been reading that book for too long." Where I think to myself, I'm sorry, my first time playing is inconveniencing you. I want to make sure I'm doing this right. So, I finally used my reaction to thunderstrike the crocodile and free myself from its jaws. We eventually defeat the crocodiles and move on to the next part of the story, going to a guild and taking a test. We meet an old man sitting in a chair smoking a pipe. We tell him we're here, and he shows us to a door. We go through it, and it's like some kind of spider monster-like dungeon. What were the other players doing? Rogue left the table to play some Overwatch in her room. Rogue lives with Monk. And so Monk autopiloted her character. This was a non-stop thing that happens every time, and nobody but me complains about it. Fighter begins talking about unrelated stuff to the game, which the table spends 30 to 45 minutes talking about. Wizard made it longer. Inside the dungeon, we ended up fighting bug-like creatures. Never did find out what they were. We then went through small maze and went through a lava shortcut thanks to the spell I had. We then found a chest with different colored orbs inside and made it to the exit. The door was locked. Turns out we still didn't complete the exam. The way we passed the exam was by far the dumbest thing I've ever seen. We literally took a bone from a bone pile near the creatures we fought. More showed up, but they didn't do anything, just stood there and watched us take a bone and leave, and left. We went through the exit, and some of us appeared in the same room, but on a different floor with stairs. This was depending on what the orb we each took. Was completely pointless. We were greeted by the guild member saying, "Yay, yay, you did it!" While one random NPC was like, "Hey, aren't these guys friends with questionable NPC the party knew from another session?" They then stared daggers at us and left the room. We met the old guy again. He told us we had ranks, and we could take missions to increase our ranks, and that's where the session ended. The entire time I played, I felt like this was like something straight out of fairy tale, which the DM wouldn't be above from doing since he made Wizard's Master Tiny Tina from Borderlands. And yes, that was her name here too. How long did he play with them? A few sessions, and every session Rogue would leave halfway in the session to play Overwatch. Both Fighter and Wizard, to this day, this was 5 years ago, still don't know what dice to use for anything, and Wizard would always be on his phone. What did Bard and Barbarian do? Not much. Bard would end up creating political arguments with DM, which ate up more time, and I ended up tuning it out. Barbarian played a few more sessions, but quit because he didn't like the heavy story. It was only there to simp for Rogue. Do they still play? They try to. Rogue is long gone from the group, and DM never finished that story. They tried to do some super duper Marvel Cinematic Universe campaign, chapter campaign, 6 months ago. That fell apart after 4 to 5 sessions. They are aware of the problem, but refuse to do anything since they admit they're too lazy and don't want to work it out. It seemed like this was less of an actual role-playing game, but more of like a social game. Nobody truly seemed to care about playing it or learning it, and more about messing around. They also seemed to have something against the OP, especially when the OP was trying to learn the game rather than sit there and act dumb about every single thing, considering most of them didn't even know what dice to use, which that's a pretty easy mechanic to figure out. If they wanted a more social game, play Cards Against Humanity or something else. Not DND, because they didn't seem to even care about it. D&D is a very much role-playing game, and it can be so much fun, but only if all of the players actually want to play. And in this, it didn't seem like any of them except for the OP really wanted to play. But anyways, that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye!